So my full title is Dr. Matthew Bunn, MBBS, BSc, and that BSc is a degree in physiology. So I've been a doctor since 1990, so that's 31 years as a qualified doctor, and as a GP for about 23 years. My career history is that I qualified in 1990 at the Royal Free Hospital in London, and I then had to do my house jobs. It's changed how that is done now, but I did 6 months as a house officer in surgery and 6 months as a house officer in medicine, and then went on to do various speciality jobs. So I did 6 senior house officer jobs of various specialities. So I'm nearing retirement. So I am now 56, and we have recently bought a house near to my daughters Sophie and Emily, and the plan is to retire within the next 2 years, and then to live permanently up in near the Peak District, and then make a choice to do other sorts of work, either general practice as a locum or something completely different, or not to work at all. But the nice thing will be it will be my choice. I decided to do general practice because of the generalisation that it covers all the different specialities. I did 6 different specialities, and it's nice to be able to use all those different skills that I'd acquired. I like the idea of family medicine. I had knowledge of it through my dad, who was a GP for many years, and I can see the rewarding aspects of doing that sort of job. And I particularly chose a practice which offers and continues to offer a personalised list system. So you have your own group of patients. Now, when I joined general practice, there was a move away from doing that. The idea that patients had choice, they can go and see any GP they like, but I preferred the personal list system. I joined a practice with that, and the idea is you get to know your patients extremely well, and they enjoy the continuity of care that they get. You probably get less complaints, you get less mistakes made. You also get to see families growing up from not quite from birth to grave, but you see the progression of families, and you know all the connections within families. Well, there's obviously general practice, what's happened in general practice and in medicine generally. Clearly, medicine's changed enormously in the time that I have done it. Some of that's been for the good, some of it for not so much for the good. To be honest with you, I don't think general practice is as rewarding in the way it is at the moment, particularly following COVID. And we were forced into a situation of having to do largely telephone appointments and very little face-to-face. And having moved down that road, there's certainly a lot of advantages to patients from doing telephone consultations. They don't have to come into the surgery. They could perhaps have an appointment while they're at work. You know, they can take out 10 or 20 minutes of time. They don't have to sit around in a waiting room surrounded by other people who may be coughing and spluttering and passing things around. So I think the patients have seen the benefits of working in that way. We've realised actually there are a huge number of appointments which can be managed on the phone rather than face-to-face. So I think there's going to be a big shift in that direction. But I think it's not as rewarding working in that way. It's much nicer being face-to-face with somebody, watching their body language, having that sort of more sort of close, intimate sort of contact with someone. I think you generally have a better consultation doing it in that way. The other thing which has changed enormously is the amount of paperwork involved. When Dad was doing general practice, they would have had long surgeries and not so much doing paperwork. I think things are much more simple now. But many hours a day between surgeries, I'm just solidly doing paperwork, prescriptions, answering queries, looking at lab reports, a whole range of things. And probably about half my time is doing that, which isn't particularly satisfying. And there's a lot of data collection now, number crunching, having to meet sort of targets, which can seem a bit arbitrary at times. So I think it's quite a tough environment for new GPs coming in. So yeah, there's been a big change. At the time I interviewed to do medicine, I think my answer was very different. I think I probably would have said, because it's a vocational job and it's caring for people, those sorts of answers. I think in retrospect, the reality is people often gravitate towards careers that have been within a family. So it's quite common for medicine to follow through families or law to follow through families. And to a large degree, it's what I knew. My father was a GP. My older brother qualified as a doctor ahead of me. So there was a natural sort of progression there. I enjoy science. I enjoy trying to understand things. And the vocational aspect certainly was an aspect of it, but probably not the major one. So, if I had enough talent, I certainly would have been very interested in a sports career, tennis or golf. I love sports, always have loved sports, but I'm nowhere near talented enough ever to have achieved at a high enough level to make that into a career. And possibly, if I'd done it as a career, I might have stopped enjoying it as a pleasurable sort of sport. But certainly if I had the talent, that would have appealed to me. But being more realistic, certainly something using my hands. I enjoy working on the car, so car mechanics, something like that, engineering, something of that ilk, or alternatively something working outside, something active rather than just a pure desk job.
Could be whatever ailment you like.
Okay.
So you can make it convincing.
So is this as if you were at school, or could it be any?
It can be any. It can be to get me off work, it can get me off school.
Okay. There you are.
What have you written about me?
I have written, "Dear Sir, Madam, I can confirm that I am the registered GP for Mr. Josh McMinn and have known him in that capacity for many years. He is suffering from a severe case of globus hystericus and is not fit to work for the next 3 weeks. Yours sincerely."
Well, that's fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.